Hey, how's everybody doing? I'll be with you shortly, just going over a few more things. Pretty, pretty wild weekend, right? I mean, we see a lot of moves with silver going on. So we'll definitely be talking about that in a bit. So I'll be with you guys shortly. Thanks again for being here with us. And if you can also just give me a heads up if the audio is coming in okay for you folks. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Oh, quick roll call. Harley Schultz, how you doing? Michael Cole, Steven Fernandez, RL, how you doing? Seymour Rivers, Mutant, how you doing? Peter Schultz, David Lanham, how you doing? Let's see what else we got out here. Again, glad that all you folks could make it, and I'll be with you very, very shortly. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and this is our weekly live stream. Glad you all could be here. I just want to acknowledge a few of you folks again. Jeff, thanks for being here. Carrie Ellen Welder, how you doing? Um, yeah, that's that seems to be the question of the day right now. Everybody silvered up on Friday and Saturday. Today's prices are out of sight if you can get anything. And yeah, we'll be touching on a few of those things. In fact, I just had a message come in that most silver coin supply, especially in the U.S., is disrupted as demand outstrips supply. So we're starting to see demand outstripping supply over in the U.S. 1,000 ounce LBMA good delivery supplies are fine for now. This is with us anyway. Silver Bullion in Singapore, where we're doing fine as far as having a supply of bars and coins. Smaller bars, um, somewhere in the middle between these two extremes. So we're seeing again the smaller things starting to make a move out, but we are still pretty well stocked. And again, it's something you got to pay attention to because it's moving fairly quick right now. But good news for us is, and for our customers, we are okay. We are well stocked, and if you do have an order that goes in, or if you did order anything, it's going to be honored. Basically, sorry about that. It'll be honored, and I know we've seen on on other through Twitter and things like that. We've seen where some dealers had to kind of step backwards on orders that came in and then had to let them know that we won't be able to honor it. But with us, it's not the case. If your order went through, your order is going to go through. So there's a big plus there. Seymour Rivers again. Who else we got out there? Truth Monster, how you doing? Jeff Rosenberg, Polynesian Pip, Aloha, how you doing? Hidden Numismatist, how you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you? But again, glad y'all could make it here, and we'll even be, I guess, taking a look at that silver to gold ratio. I last I checked, it was at about 65 or so. It was under 70, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So you guys out there who did buy in March when silver was, I think, under 12 at that point, and the ratio was at about 125 or so, you folks made out. It may be time where you might want to consider flipping that silver to gold, using that silver to gold ratio. Otherwise, you may want to continue to hold it, seeing everything that's being played out right now. So again, if you are new here, or if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified on new updates and give us a thumbs up. If you like what we do, we really do appreciate your support. And if you are new here, go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can acknowledge you here. Lloyd Kaipainen, how you doing? Glad you can make it. Bill Wood, uh, Jake Hurley. Okay, first time I've seen your name. Welcome aboard. Tamara Peabody. First time I've seen your name as well. Welcome aboard. Glad you all could be here. Mark Wiseman. I think I had the privilege of meeting you maybe a year and a half ago or so, when you folks made that trip to Singapore. I believe this is the same Mark Wiseman. So again, glad you all could be here. And as always, you can find us on social media at silverbullion.com.sg. Besides selling and storing silver and gold, precious metals, we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. And you got to remember right now, as we're seeing silver move up and we're seeing people move in silver, you have to also keep in mind that silver is basically saying you don't trust the dollar. When you buy silver, you understand that there are things going on with the dollar, with the economy, and this is your hedge, your shelter, your insurance. So as you see silver start to move, it's also a way for you to protect yourself against systemic risk. And this is one thing that we do specialize in, systemic wealth protection. So again, I do hope you come to our website and see what we have to offer. Silver Bullion SG is our handle on Facebook. Silver Bullion PL, our handle on Twitter, PL for Private Limited. Audio versions, bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, or SBTV Spotify. And probably now more than ever, it's a good time to join our crisis tracker group. If you have that app, Telegram, a lot of you folks made that move once we found out what was going on with Facebook and WhatsApp and all of these things. A lot of you guys made that move to Telegram, to Signal. But if you did make that move to Telegram, go ahead and join our group, Crisis Tracker, t.me/crisis tracker. So go ahead and join that group. This is where we pretty much look at news as it pertains to finance, economics, gold, silver, things like that. We sift through the weeds for you and we bring out what's pretty important or things that are going to make news. So again, do hope you join us there. So again, glad y'all could be here. A lot of stuff going on. Right after that interview with Keith Neumeyer, things really took off. So it was pretty incredible timing wise. And we've seen their shares take off, and we've seen some people call them the Reddit Renegades. We've seen them make a move to push silver. We've been seeing a lot of things going on, and this is where I need your help. There's a lot of news going on, so whatever else you see out there, let us know and chime in the comments section. We really do appreciate that and appreciate your support. Upcoming guest, Lynette Zhang. I know you folks are familiar with her. She's the chief market analyst at ITM Trading, a full-service precious metals firm specializing in gold and silver bullion and rare coins. Lynette has been in the markets for a while in various roles, including stockbroker and banker. She's also the host of the popular YouTube channel ITM Trading Inc., which educates people in the area of financial knowledge and wealth preservation. So we're looking forward to having a chat with Lynette. Hope you folks can make it for this interview. Should be coming up later on this week. And as always, as a thank you, we're going to go ahead and do our ebook giveaway. Once again, we're going to be giving away James Rickard's new book, The Great Depression, Winners and Losers in a Post-Pandemic World. The crisis, it's not like 2008 or even 1929, the crisis we have going on now. And a new depression that has emerged from the COVID pandemic is the worst economic crisis in U.S. history. Pretty much it's a good book. I did a pre-order, finally came in, started reading it, and I can tell you it's a really, really good book so far, and I'm pretty sure all the way throughout. So if you want this book, House Rules, it's an ebook from Kindle. So you need to download that Kindle app from your phone or tablet's app store and be the first to answer correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. You have about a minute and a half. U.S. winners will be given a link to download the ebook. Winners outside the U.S. will have to give you some sort of an alternate price, mainly because, again, as you know, Kindle or Amazon, they don't allow gifting ebooks outside of the U.S., so we'll have to arrange for an alternative price there. And provide us an email during this live stream. What we'll do is my colleague Vincent, he's standing by, and he will go ahead and mute your comment. That way, when you send your email, only we see it, and we'll be able to communicate with you that way. Okay, so those pretty much are the rules to the game. Having said that, the question this is coming from the Keith Neumeyer interview. He called silver a blank type of precious metal. Keith Neumeyer called silver a blank type of precious metal. So this is the first one to answer this correctly will win that ebook. And let me scroll down a bit. And we'll be also giving away a prize for a few of the runners up as well. So the question: Keith Neumeyer called silver a blank precious metal. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what we got here coming in. Okay, good comments here. Tube Chaser, high ho silver away. Yes, it has been going high ho silver away. So, okay, comments coming in. Our answer to the question coming in. Polynesian Pip, strategic. Mitch Alex, monetary. Pabar, semi. Okay, hang on here. Let me just scroll back down. Let's see, monetary, semi. Jack, where'd you go? Jack Parsons, strategic. Okay, who else is out there? Justin Miller, Jeff Rosenberg, strategic. Okay, who else we got out there? Joe Taz, industrial. Michael Cole, thinking the same here. Mr. Nguyen, monetary. Okay, Edwin Rivera, strategic. Okay, and that's it. Time is up. So we'll go down to Patrick Bateman will be the last one we'll take. Okay, so the winner from this one is going to be Polynesian Pip. You were the first to get it right. Yes, Keith Neumeyer did say it is the strategic metal, and we'll run through that clip real quick just to verify.
All the technologies that are in our homes that we rely on, flying around the world, all the stuff that we use and take advantage of as a human race requires silver. And people just look at silver as a poor man's gold, which is not. Silver is not gold. Gold is money. Silver is a strategic precious metal.
Okay, so he said strategic precious metal, and I know a lot of you folks were, wait, what is this he's talking about? Silver has been money, but Keith sees it as strategic metal also because it's more than money. I don't think he's saying that it's not money. I think he meant that because it's more than money. It's used in so much of industrial supplies that we use, things like solar, even medicinal. It has medicinal properties and things like that. So he looked at it as a strategic metal. So Polynesian Pip, you were the winner out there. We're going to be sending you that James Rickards ebook. Then we had Jack Rosenberg, I believe, or Jeff Rosenberg. You were there as well. Jack Parsons, Edwin Rivera, and Patrick Bateman. You folks will be given the alternate prize of Build Your Own Bank by Aon Schmidt. So it's a good book as well. And indeed, this is a time we need to all understand how to build and be our own bank. So again, Polynesian Pip, the winner, Jack Parson, Jeff Rosenberg, Edwin Rivera, and Patrick Bateman will be getting the runner-up prizes. Again, thank you all for being here. And let's move on over to our website, silverbullion.com.sg. This is our website. Again, yes, you can buy precious metals, and we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. Moving down, we are seeing silver at roughly $28.37 per ounce. Had a big change this morning. Gold, $18.54. Nickel, $17,737. So everything pretty much in the green, all moving up. Do download our investor kit. It's free. Just click on this button. You can see it from our website. A PDF will open up, or you can download it as well. And this one here, Star Storage Account. You do want to sign up for this. It's a free account. There's no maintenance fee, and I'll touch back on that in a second or so. Let's just take a look quickly at the silver to gold ratio, 65.4. This has come down quite a bit. It was just last year. We've seen it up at about 125 or so. So if you had bought silver last year when it was, I believe, under $12 an ounce at about 125 to 1, you might consider flipping some of that silver into gold. If you bought it at 125, it's at about 65, almost half. You might want to consider flipping some of that silver over into gold, and this is what the ratio can do for you. So I want to move back here to the storage account, because what this is, it's we have different types of accounts: personal, joint, trust, joint account with a minor business account. And we kind of touched on this last week, these different types of accounts. And the thing is, If you are planning to store bullion offshore with a third party, there are some things that we need to know, and I can't emphasize enough that you need to make sure you are the owner of your bullion instead of a creditor. And let me give you an example as to what I mean. When you deposit your cash with the bank, you no longer own that money, and you become a creditor because that money is now on the bank's balance sheet. Bank owes that money to you. You don't own it anymore. It's a strange concept. A lot of us may never have known. So you don't own that money, and essentially, it's an IOU. The bank has an IOU in your name. And in the same way, there are a lot of bullion storage companies out there that operate in a type of an IOU storage system where you are a creditor, not an owner. So again, seeing what we're seeing with silver, a lot of you folks are going into silver, but this is something you need to know if you choose to store it overseas. Okay, it's very important. So how do you know that you're an owner and not a creditor? Well, if your storage company gives you a certificate, okay, a certificate of any kind to show that you own the metals that you have with them, you're a creditor. Okay, you are a creditor, not the owner. And this is because certificates issued by private companies cannot be recognized in legal courts. In fact, I could open up a company tomorrow and issue out certificates, not really going to mean anything. If your deposit documents only show, let's say, the quantity and the bullion type that you bought, but it doesn't have a unique identification or ID, you're still a creditor. This is similar to how you cannot, let's say, when you buy a house and you have an address. Okay, that address is tied into that house. If you don't have anything to uniquely identify specific bullion items to you, you're a creditor. Okay, so again, this is something you need to know. If the deposit documents only show that you own a generic number of, let's say, coins or unidentified bars, which specific bars or coins do you really own? You don't know, right? So chances are that bullion is owned by the dealer. It's owned by the dealer or the company offering the storage that you are owed, and you're owed the bullion. You're really a creditor. So again, these are things that you need to know. And it's important, again, because of what's going on with silver right now, but it's important that if your dealer or storage provider, let's say, goes bankrupt and your bullion is on their balance sheet, you will be at the back of the line trying to collect or recover your bullion. So again, you need to know these things. So what do you do? Well, for one thing, here at Silver Bullion, our star storage is set up different. We transfer ownership of uniquely identified bullion to customers using commercial invoices. Okay, you get a commercial invoice which can be held up in court as proof of ownership. And further, in Singapore, an invoice does mean proof of ownership. And falsifying these invoices, it is a criminal offense in Singapore. So that invoice is everything. You need to make sure that you have that, especially if you're storing overseas, let's say in Singapore. Your bullion is therefore never on our balance sheet. So even in an unlikely event that we do go bankrupt, unlikely event, your bullion is not affected. It's still yours. We can't touch it. You are the owner. So I don't want to go too much more into this. Send us an email, sales@silverbullion.com.sg if you want more information, or you can call us at +65. 65 is the area code for Singapore, 61003040. So get in touch with us if you would like more info on these, or if you'd like more info as to what types of accounts you can open. Again, I know a lot of you guys out there are buying silver, and some of you would need or would like to store it overseas in a different jurisdiction. So hopefully, these things can help, and we can help you with that. Moving on to Twitter, just a quick look. Um, there are some dealers right now. They are having to backstep orders that went in, and they're having to basically, um, I don't know, renege is such a strong word, but that it's what's happening. So again, with us, any order that went in is going to be honored, and we'll continue and move forward from there. Trust is everything, right? Lawrence Lepard, fix the money, fix the world. Let me get over to that Twitter website. Okay, so this is what I was talking about here. Lawrence Lepard, he's talking about how, let's see, this the new econ advisor. Well, she has some pretty uh, I don't want to say original, but some ideas that are not too mainstream. She says 1.9 trillion should have been a floor, not a ceiling in negotiations. It's clear there will be no GOP support, so Dems are currently negotiating with themselves. They should not hesitate to bump the package to 3 trillion. 3 trillion. So again, it's not a political statement here. It's just to let you know that this is the state of, let's just say, the U.S. and the dollar, the world's reserve currency. Printing is just going to continue. It's not going to stop. All the more reason why you should be looking at things like silver and gold. This one here, Max Kaiser. Alex wants me back on the show to talk about Silver Squeeze that we launched on his show in 2010 as Crash JP Morgan by Silver. So again, it's not just mainstream, it's all over the place, even in alt media as well. And the Silver Squeeze, it is getting interesting where silver retail sites are grinding to a halt as Reddit horde moves over into coins. So Twitter has really been going off, and I know you folks have been paying attention to that, but I want to go back and revisit one more thing Keith Neumeyer said, and then we're going to head into what's going on with this silver short squeeze, because there's quite a bit going on. But one more thing Keith Neumeyer said, I think you folks will find interesting.
Above ground supplies are dropping, production's dropping, consumption's going up. You got two major drivers: electric cars, solar panels, other technologies coming. I think there's a perfect storm. I think we're going to see ratio collapse. We saw the ratio get down to 31, I think it was in April 2011, 31 or 33 or something, from memory. But I think we're going to get closer to its actual mining ratio of 8-to-1.
8-to-1. I'm curious what you folks think about that. 8-to-1 right now, where it was at the 70s range for so long. It's down in the mid 60s now, and Keith is saying apparently the true ratio should be about 8-to-1, which is what the metal is coming out of the ground. So just curious, want to know what you folks think about that at 8-to-1. That would surely move the silver price, and it would surely make an impact on supply as well. So curious to know what your feedback is on that. And moving forward, often in our live streams we talk about FOMC meetings and the Fed raising or lowering interest rates. Basically, they are giving the market guidance, and guidance is also a signal to Wall Street as to what the Fed intends to do. And of course, Wall Street will make money. Wall Street will front run. And it's gotten to a point where the market has disconnected from the real economy you and I live in, and it simply makes no sense. Anymore. I mean, look no further than zombie companies and stocks rising on companies that are basically dead. And so recently we have seen, let's call them the Robinhood traders, let's say taking their $600 stimulus checks, using a forum for guidance, and reviving companies Wall Street has labeled as pretty much dead, created zombie companies. And they've done this by over shorting and betting a company will go down. Well, it's now happened where inexperienced traders playing the same game and by the same rules are pretty much taking it to Wall Street. However, then we saw a reality, and that reality is the markets are without question, let's just use that word, manipulated, okay, for a few. And it's a game we, meaning you and me, seemingly we aren't supposed to be playing this. So let's go ahead and take a look at how all of this unfolded. And what I mean when I say manipulated, the Fed giving markets forward guidance, low interest rates, Wall Street being allowed to short, at times even naked short. And, it is set up in a way for them to really use to their benefits. And again, apparently you and I are not supposed to play this game. So I want to go back and let's see how all of this unfolded with the help of our friends at The Rising. Here's a few clips from them.
All right, Sagar, what's on your radar?
Well, there are many enemies of the people in the American elite, almost too many to count. But if you were to put a gun to my head and force me to choose which specific area of American life most are concentrated, it probably wouldn't surprise many of you to hear me say Wall Street. And among Wall Street, it is the hedge funders. And within the hedge funders, it is a specific set of people known as the short sellers. For years, the short sellers have colluded amongst themselves, used the media and more to manipulate markets and specific stocks by forcing massive runs on well-meaning companies, all so that they can make billions on the flip side. None of this has anything to do with creating value, making money in a good fashion, or anything of production. It is simply leeching off the American financial system to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars for a select group of the financial elite. And for years, they've run the table. Until now, where the first populist uprising in finance just toppled a few select Wall Street titans, which is ushering in what I hope is a new era of democratized finance.
Okay, democratized finance. Before we go on, I just want to make clear that anything from here on out is not financial advice, professional or otherwise, and anything from here on out is my opinion and mine alone. It's not necessarily the company that I work for. It's not necessarily their opinion over at Silver Bullion. So let's just make that clear as we move forward. Democratized finance, it's a word, and it may be a new word for most of us. We all know the markets are influenced, but now markets are under fire to be level and pretty much equal to all. So here's another clip from what they had to say at Rising.
Now, the story of GameStop and its recent market actions is itself a tale of corruption within the Wall Street elite, and how a band of mostly young, underemployed, and spiteful millennials banded together to make them pay a real price for the first time in decades. Major Wall Street institutions like Melvin Capital, which is managed by Gabe Plotkin, took out huge short positions on GameStop stock. They were joined by analysts like Andrew Left of Citron Research in taking the public position that GameStop stock would go down. Now, this is a classic Wall Street maneuver. You take a short position, you and many others in the financial in circle all say publicly the stock is going to go down, which causes people who care about what they do to sell. The stock goes down, they make a lot of money. Well, now they've been literally doing this for years.
All right, so let's take a quick look at some info we can get from GameStop short sellers. Hang on, let me just clear this up here, get it squared away for you guys. Okay, so GameStop short sellers, Melvin Capital and Citron surrender bearish bets after 700% rally drives huge losses. So some keynotes here. Melvin Capital and Citron Research, notorious for their short positions in GameStop, have closed their bearish bets after the stock's climb fueled massive losses. Melvin Capital closed its position last week, as reported by CNBC. Citron managing partner Andrew Left said in a video that most of his firm's position was covered at a loss of 100%. Just a few quick notes from here. After weeks of unrelenting gains for GameStop shares, Reddit traders seem to have beaten Wall Street again. This was last week. Melvin Capital and Citron Research closed their short positions on GameStop stock after the company's massive rally formed an extraordinary short squeeze. And after this, we did see quite a bit of movement, and we had seen how the Reddit Renegade, as some people call them, they were going to move into silver, but we'll stick with the first half of it where they really went after GameStop. And here's why all of this happened.
But then a merry band of people on Reddit, they took notice on a subreddit. It's called Wall Street Bets. It has 2.2 million traders. And they said, you know what? Hold on a second. A user in April 2020 took notice that 84% of all GameStop stock at the time was held in short, a massive bet for no discernible reason. That Reddit user implored others to buy the stock and to instruct their own brokers not to allow their shares to be lent towards short positions of short sellers. This alone caused the stock to soar by nearly 50% in a single day, which, as Bloomberg notes, was the biggest gain in 18 years of the company history. But this is where things get really crazy. Slowly, other Redditors began to realize that by banding together, they could do two things. First, that their power in numbers combined with the power of trading platforms like Robinhood could enable them to act together. And two, that by pushing the stock up collectively, they could make more money and screw over major heavy hitters on Wall Street.
Yeah, and with that, an epic battle did take place. Let me get out of here. Designer fashion, anyone interested? Okay, no one? All right. So here we go from the Straits Times, an epic battle over GameStop as nerds take on Wall Street. This coming from Straits Times over in Singapore. Let me go ahead and open this up a bit more so we all can see it. An epic battle is unfolding on Wall Street with a cast of characters clashing over the fate of GameStop, a struggling chain of video game retail stores. The conflict again has sent GameStop on a stomach-turning ride, with amateur investors taking on the financial establishment in the mindset of the Occupy Wall Street movement launched a decade ago. And I know a lot of us do remember that. So why have these shares become so volatile? Well, it's a well-known retail chain whose business model of selling games on discs appeared to have been overtaken by a move to the internet and has been the target of short sellers, often big hedge funds, which bet on a decline by selling borrowed shares. That's the keyword, borrowed shares. You have to have it. Borrowed shares in the hope of repaying at a lower price. But a group of amateur investors organizing under the online platform Reddit has fought the trend. A group calling itself Wall Street Bets, with some 3 million members. 3 million members who exchange tips and boast about beating the system is credited with pushing up GameStop shares and roiling the Wall Street establishment. So quite a few of us who do see what's going on with the markets as sort of a scam in some way. Scam may not be the right word here, but I mean with record unemployment and job closures, we saw the markets go up. How's that possible, right? For most of us, we simply stood by and watched it. Some of us, we went into Bitcoin, silver, gold, nickel, and other commodities, while others sort of went back into the market on fire. These Reddit renegades, as some people like to call them, they went into the market on fire, saw what was going on. They had a mission. They went in with a mission. Okay, and to explain that a bit more, I want to roll another clip from Rising, because we really have to understand the backstory to understand how the front story or what's going to be coming up may play out. So again, we go back to Rising as they explain this in another way as well.
But if this entire thing is a scheme, and it's all made up anyways, then why shouldn't the little guys make some of the money instead of the titans? And that's what's happened here. Soon, GameStop stock was up an eye-popping 1,100%. Right now, as I'm giving this monologue, the stock trades around $280 a share. Less than 2 weeks ago, it was $20. A few Redditors got rich. A few more are definitely going to get scammed. But what's really beautiful is who lost out. Melvin Capital, who is backed by some of the biggest guys on Wall Street, needed a $2.75 billion cash injection yesterday after losing billions on the stock. They declined a full 15% in just the first few weeks of the year. That's right. A bunch of people on Reddit with Robinhood accounts delivered a body blow to one of the biggest speculators on the street.
Okay, and with that, we did see a hedge fund pull out. Let me go ahead and open this up as well, make it a bit larger. And we even saw it get to a point where the White House had to monitor GameStop share surge as that U.S. hedge fund pulled out. Let me close this for you. So moving down here, the White House has said it is monitoring the extraordinary surge in the share price of the ailing video game retailer GameStop and other companies amid a surge of bets by small investors discussing their investments online. This part here, discussing their investments online, I want to ask you folks, what is the difference between people discussing their investments online, which is public, compared to, let's say, financial news channels saying this stock, that stock looks good, recommending this stock, that stock? Well, what's the real difference? Is there any difference between that and people discussing their investments online. Is there any real difference? Nonetheless, last week's announcement by the press secretary Jen Psaki came as the Treasury and the Securities and Exchange Commission said it was aware and actively monitoring the ongoing market volatility in the options and equities markets. GameStop's shares have soared this year as an army of small investors have bought in, hoping to profit from Wall Street bets that the company's share price will fall. The company's shares rose to about 135% on last week, Wednesday, anyway, to more than $347 per share. And the battle between Wall Street and small investors who have gathered on Reddit to discuss tactics and celebrate their recent success intensified last week when a U.S. hedge fund that has invested heavily betting on the failure of the struggling video game store pulled out, costing the financial firm a fortune. So this is what it's really about here. It's about Wall Street taking a hit, and then we did, of course, go on to see some things where the rules were changed along the way, and we'll get into that shortly. But there is collusion, and there's collusion going on pretty much everywhere, whether it's Wall Street, whether it's, I guess, people on the internet discussing what they're looking at and what they may invest and go into. So we'll let the guys at the Rising explain what this collusion may be.
Because over on the financial news channels, they are losing their minds. In fact, since I actually don't watch too much financial news, I saw Jim Cramer, of all people, who's making sense after an analyst on CNBC accused Redditors of possible illegal collusion and then suggested, with a straight face, it might be foreign powers at work manipulating our markets. I'm serious. Take a listen.
What kind of case do they have? We like the stock. We like the stock. I mean, that's the kid where Ryan Cohen got in. He bought 15% at $8. He's on the board. We like the stock. How is that bad? Or do you think that they're concentrated and doing some sort of manipulation if they say they like the stock?
Well, I don't know if they're concentrated because I don't have subpoena power and I can't really go out and look at it. I can argue I don't even know if there are foreign powers at work here behind the scenes trying to make chaos of our markets.
Is there something in the water with these people? They have to blame Russia when something happens that they don't like? But what really you just witnessed is that when regular people do what the billionaires do, then they start crying about crimes, they want the SEC involved, they want to know if it's illegal, when the little guy does what they do in a less highbrow version and without a suit on. That's what's at play here. Wall Street is shook because multi-billionaires who recklessly gambled on a stock are getting screwed. They're targeting average retail investors for having some fun online because it reveals just how much of a sham that this all is. People are referring to stocks that Redditors are buying, like Palantir and BlackBerry and Nokia and GameStop, as meme stocks, with the idea that their value is being memed into existence.
Meme stocks, memed into existence. We'll touch on the meme economy in a little bit. Now, all of this, as mentioned, is springing up from, of course, Reddit and Wall Street Bets. So I want to move over to Wall Street Bets website so you folks can really see what it's about. I don't know how many of you have actually gone over to their website there. But it's constantly moving a lot of information there, so it's really, really hard to keep up. As you can see, there's a word there that might have to, well, too late to kind of bleep out there. Let's see what they say here. This is where they really just voice their opinions. Let's see. Robinhood is toast. Fidelity, massive transfer volume. This is different. This morning I called it Fidelity because I wanted to make sure my extended hours trading was enabled on my account. Took 90 minutes on hold to get through. Apparently, they are slammed over at Fidelity. I asked the gal on the phone what it's been like today. She said because of all this stuff with Robinhood, they're looking at 700% daily volume for transferring accounts, which is pretty amazing. So it's not just silver and gold local dealers that are having high volumes. I guess the banks are also having high volumes, traders, everyone. There's a lot of money that is moving. So again, just wanted to take you to this Wall Street Bets website over at reddit.com. It is pretty interesting. So if you have the time, you may want to go in there and take a look and see what they're talking about and kind of understand their mindset and what they're looking at and what they're looking at doing. So take some time and go over there. You always got to take a look at what people on your left of you are doing, what people on the right of you are doing. Keep your eyes open and head on the swivel. So I want to take a look at some comments here real quick before I move on. Let's see. Jim Cramer. A lot of love for Jim Cramer, right? Let's see who else is out there. Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan, indeed, biggest transfer of wealth ever. We are seeing wealth starting to move. We are seeing wealth starting to transfer. And I guess, probably one of the biggest pluses about this is wealth is being transferred and transferred into a vehicle that can transfer your wealth. I mean, especially if we're going to move over from current monetary system to a new monetary system, silver is where you want to be. So, these guys, they're nailing it down on all angles right now. I mean, they've gotten into something that has been shorted, some say manipulated for years. And they're getting into that, which is actually the vehicle to get you from here to there and store your wealth. So it's wins all the way around just by simply going into silver. So it's good that that they saw this and they had a platform like Reddit to go ahead and talk about it. Let me see what else is out there. Let's see. Seymour Rivers, do you have silver coins for sale? Yeah, I just had word this morning. Supply wise, we're doing okay, and any orders that came in, they're being honored. So we're doing okay at Silver Bullion, silverbullion.com.sg. If you do see where we have, let's say, something along the lines of a pre-order within 2 weeks or something like that, it does mean that we've locked in and secured an order with the refiners, the suppliers, things like that. So it does mean it's on the way. It's not something that's just put up there, just to give people some kind of, idea that, we will be ordering again. It means we will order, we did order, and it's locked in. So it means it's on the way, so you can go ahead and place your order. So it's a bit different. We operate a bit differently at Silver Bullion, and I'm glad that the orders were honored, where we saw other companies, they had to kind of backstep and retrace a bit. So again, if it came in with us, it's honored. So all good, all good. Polynesian Pip, 2902. Are we at 2902 right now? Is that what all of you folks are getting right now, spot price? It is $30. It's right around the corner. Some more comments out here. Okay, I guess you guys are okay. You guys are doing well. So I will move on. Wall Street Bets. Other things that came out from Wall Street Bets, and even on Twitter. I guess professional short sellers never considered what would happen if they got squeezed by a legion of tiny retail investors with 20-year-old Forum software, a free trading app, and a $600 stimulus check at their disposal. Perfect storm. Public citizen, if you're feeling jazzed about the market manipulation, here's a reminder that not one major Wall Street executive went to jail for nearly disintegrating our economy back in 2008. Other things that were posted, this from AOC. Gotta admit, it's really something to see Wall Streeters with a long history of treating our economy as a casino complain about a message board of posters also treating the market as a casino. That was from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And Anna Kasparian. So market manipulation by Federal Reserve pumping a lot of dollars into failing banks and corporations is okay. But Reddit users rallying GameStop is wrong and must be regulated. The entire stock market is disconnected from reality. Funny how quickly the financial press cries for hedge funds. Another one here from Segar Njeri, who is hosting The Rising, which is the clips that we've been showing. He tweeted out, when hedge funders and others loot our markets, it's all good. But when retail investors destroy a hedge fund, then all of a sudden, CNBC analysts start calling for regulation, blame foreign powers, and talk fundamentals. So, hearing fairly influential names using social media, mainstream is once again scrambling to find a way to silence opposition. In that case, it's you and me, the retail investor, and they're using to move perhaps regulation, maybe even some underhanded strategies to silence mainstream or the retail investors or any types of challengers to the Wall Street establishment. So moving on, here's another clip from The Rising.
CNBC, Squawk Box, had the gall to have on the CEO of the NASDAQ, the trading platform, in which they were calling for more regulation. When's the last time that you saw the head of a trading platform call for more regulation? Let's take a listen. I'm serious. I want you guys to see this.
One of the things that we're talking about is maybe misinformation and pump and dumps, and it's occurring on social media again. It just, I'm wondering whether it's part of the same problem, the type of regulation that we finally need to consider. And like I said, we should always have a light touch with regulation, but you're seeing the way things can get started. Again, this is different. Maybe it's Reddit, maybe it's not Facebook, but you're seeing the same situation. At this point, it's not about an election. It's not about an insurrection, but there are interesting things happening that seem to be spawned to some extent, or at least blown out of proportion by social media again. Adina.
Well, I do think, though, that as we look at these new technologies that are there available to everyone, including investors, I think it's also important for regulators to understand that, manipulation is manipulation, whether it's happening through a new technology medium or it's happening through traditional mail. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that we understand what the behavior is, what's underpinning the behavior, and working appropriately with the regulators to manage the situation.
Oh, yeah. Now they want regulation.
God.
They can let high-frequency traders flash crash our markets. They let people drive up stocks. They've been memeing this stuff for decades.
Right.
But now that it's not them, that they can't control the information flow, now they want to use the power of the SEC and FinCEN to go after a bunch of people on Reddit who are making like $500 to $1,000.
I also can't get it. You just imperative to stop the steal.
There you go.
This is misinformation. Add that to the dude who was like, it could be foreign
power.
interference.
Where did they get this
Could be
from?
Russia's like, oh my God. Put it straight into my veins. This is all amazing, and all of your, caveats. This is not investment advice.
Don't do it. It's bad.
Any of it, it's gambling, it's reckless, it's speculative, all that stuff. But they are trying to pull off, and have actually, I think, pulled off the rarest of rare occurrences, which is an actual transfer of wealth from Wall Street to Main Street.
Okay, transfer of wealth, and then we saw this came out from Wall Street Bets. So again, recapping what happened: the biggest short squeeze in the world, SLV silver, $25 to 1,000. And when this came out, a lot of us were wondering if they're really going to go after this and if they really are going to start pushing up silver. The silver bullion market is one of the most manipulated on earth. Any short squeeze in silver paper shorts would be epic. We know should be bullion, I suppose. We know bullion banks are manipulating gold and silver to cover real inflation. Both the industrial case and monetary case, debt printing has never been more favorable to the number one inflation hedge, silver. Okay, so we get the gist of this, right? A lot of us, we know this already. And as you know, yes, they did. They did make a move into silver. And now the question is, what will happen from here? Because we're starting to get or see pushback from the establishment. And we're even seeing Congress looking into why people could not trade, because we know what happened, right? They limited, Robinhood started limiting trades, and they would allow the sell positions to continue on, but they would not allow any new positions, which was odd. All they allowed was selling to go on. They wouldn't allow buying to go on. And so we saw that, and Congress, they want to know what's going on with that. And I mean, they take the side of the little guy when it's convenient, right? But nonetheless, this is what we saw come out. And let me scroll down here. here. Let me just get there. Okay, this was a memo. Congress of the U.S. House of Representatives. Dear Acting Attorney General, I am greatly troubled with the events that have unfolded on Wall Street and demand action from the U.S. Department of Justice. Today, a FINRA-regulated broker-dealer called Robinhood Markets, Inc. halted the purchase of stocks for several publicly traded companies, including GameStop, BlackBerry, AMC, and others. This unilateral move was done so in a concerted effort to deplatform and silence individual investors. We've been hearing this word a lot, deplatform and silence. Well, now they're doing it to retail investors. This began when an investment management fund called Melvin Capital Management placed an aggressive short sale on the company GameStop. To contradict this decision, the heavily followed Reddit page, Wall Street Bets, and their administrators advocated that their followers purchase GameStop stock using the broker Robinhood. The movement was so immense that it drove the stock price to over 400% of its previous value, and as a result, Melvin Capital lost billions on their return, and Robinhood blocked users from buying any more of GameStop stock, but still allowed liquidation. Melvin Capital Management is owned, get this, Melvin Capital Management is owned by the parent company Citadel, LLC, which, according to a Bloomberg report, gave Robinhood roughly 40% of their revenue. Knowing the involvement Citadel has with Robinhood, it is clear that the actions taken today were motivated by anti-competitive reasons, not for concerns of volatility claimed by Robinhood. Because of this blatant conflict of interest and obvious monopolistic activity, I am calling on an immediate investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice into Robinhood and the hedge fund of Citadel LLC. Sincerely, Paul A. Gosar. And we even saw tweets from, again, AOC. We saw tweets from the squad. We saw tweets from Ted Cruz. Say that 5 times quick. Tweets from Ted Cruz. And then we saw the former SEC commissioner say this. The former SEC commissioner. This is what she said. So let me go ahead and I'll play this from the beginning. This is coming from TF Meadows. And this is what she had to say.
It really puts a lot of question about the integrity of the market, right? And it really kind of, everybody's scratching their heads over this. What should happen? What is the right thing to do to control this or stop this? Not unlike what we saw on January 6th at the Capitol, right? If you don't have the police in there at the right time, things go a little crazy. And that's kind of feels like what's happening with this. Much different, much lesser degree. It's financial harm, not personal bodily harm. But certainly that's the same kind of, platform created frenzy that people are operating under. And these are very trying times. It really puts a lot of.
So that's what the former SEC Commissioner Laura Unger had to say. I'm curious what you folks have to say about what Laura had to say. So let me go ahead and take a look at the comments. At the comments here. Let me just scroll through it real quick. Let's see. Hang on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just running through this real quick. A lot of comments are coming in. Hang on. This is interesting. Edwin Rivera, I make moves in crypto to buy more silver. It's a good move. I mean, I've always said, it's good to have both cryptos and precious metals, more specifically, maybe Bitcoin. But I know there are others that are doing pretty well. So good for you. Good for you, Edwin. What else is out there? Patrick Bateman, stop the steal on Wall Street. Yeah, you could say that. They are trying to perhaps stop it, but I think what's more concerning is how it was so easy to shut the spigot off on retail investors and not let them go ahead and make trades. I think that's a more concerning part, because we we saw that. We remember, all of this deplatforming going on, all this silencing going on, and then now it turned. Now maybe it wasn't on you before, but maybe now it is on you. And the thing is, even if you weren't one of those guys that couldn't make a trade, just knowing that these things happen with the markets and seeing let's just call it the collusion, the types of manipulation that go on. Again, as I said, whether it's the Fed giving forward guidance, uh, it does go on, and that's pretty concerning. But again, all the reason more why you should be in things like silver and gold. And then we saw the rule change, right? I mean, you could sell, but you could not buy or create new positions. And just a day later, they somewhat adjusted things and came out to say this, where um, you would get an error message if you try to make a trade or execute a trade. This order will exceed the maximum allowed silver shares you can hold at this time. You currently have at that point 18 shares purchased or pending, including this order, which exceeds the limit of 5 shares. So they limited traders to just 5 shares. And we saw this as well come out from Cointelegraph. The financial ties, as mentioned, between Robinhood and funds shorting GME fall under scrutiny. So take a quick read through this. The connections between trading app Robinhood, Citadel hedge fund. Let me make this a bit larger for you guys, a bit larger for me as well. Citadel hedge fund, Melvin Capital, and GameStop are becoming clearer as the internet burns with outrage over allegations of market manipulation. Melvin Capital was one of the biggest players short selling GameStop stock, or GME, when a number of Redditors and gamers on the Wall Street Bets subreddit pushed back against institutions trying to financially destroy the popular brick-and-mortar video game store. The price of GameStop shares shot up. This effectively turned the tables on Melvin and left the firm vulnerable, with its investors likely to lose billions. However, Citadel and Point72 Asset Management came to the investment firm's rescue last week by investing $2.75 billion in Melvin and patching the problem while the firm seemingly looked for more lasting solutions. Okay, so Citadel helped to patch Melvin's problem. Within a few days, though, Robinhood would go on to restrict trading for GME and others, effectively preventing retail investors from purchasing more shares of the stocks. And while still far higher than it was earlier this month, the price of GME has halved today. Again, this came out last week. And the fall in GME's price would seemingly benefit Melvin at this point. However, for a trading app like Robinhood, which claims to democratize finance for all, many were questioning the motivations behind the platform suddenly restricting trades for many of the stocks Redditors were pumping. According to a June report from the Financial Times, $39 million of Robinhood's revenues from equities and options their order flow came from Citadel Securities, a market maker, sister firm of Citadel. Now remember, it was just Citadel who pumped in or helped to pump in money for Melvin, which lost money. So the same Citadel, I'll read this again. According to a June report from Financial Times, $39 million of Robinhood's revenues from equities and options order flow came from Citadel Securities, a market maker, sister firm of Citadel. Okay, so there you go. It's a pretty strong connection there. So in summary, Citadel is one of Robinhood's biggest customers. Citadel invested in Melvin, which is potentially facing trouble because of a bunch of investors from Reddit decided they didn't like a major hedge telling the market to crush GameStop. Many of the Redditors used Robinhood to buy GameStop shares, and now Robinhood has severely restricted trading for GameStop. Tyler Winklevoss, familiar name in the crypto world. Citadel is an investor in Melvin Capital, which got run over by Wall Street Bets. Citadel is also Robinhood's biggest customer. Okay, so whether it's true or not, the links are solid. Okay, the links are all there with motive. Motive is there, and it's there. The links and the motive. And I want to go back to a phrase we heard: the meme economy or meme stocks. And it's interesting that Jerome Powell, the Fed head, said we will be going into a new economy, but I don't think he meant a meme economy. But nonetheless, it does exist, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that. But first, I want to go ahead and see one of the comments here, or some of the comments here. Let's see. Yeah, premiums look like some places they've gone up. Hang on, Lord humongous fake markets. It's, what can you say? Really, what can you say at a time where, historical levels of people unemployed, historical numbers of jobs or companies that had to go bankrupt. Yet, we've seen the markets go up, and it definitely disconnected, and we've seen stimulus come into play. People were given money. I guess the intent was for them to spend that money to get the velocity of money going to kick up the inflation that the Fed wants, but that money went back into the markets. I think the Fed did not expect that. Purely speculating here, but it didn't go where the Fed thought it would go. So here we are now, Robinhood. Let's see what this is. BS markets. Okay, who went ahead and put that in there? Okay, and Tom Collins, yes, please do hit the like button. That helps us out more than you know. Carrie Ellen Wilder, Laura Unger is a shield for Wall Street robber barons. It is odd that now they are calling for regulation. The thing is, what happened with the Reddit gang is they played within the rules. Whatever rules were set up, they played within them. So, why now are we looking at trying to get them regulated when these rules have always been there? Maybe under Laura Unger's watch, it was just not enforced. So, maybe Laura might want to rethink some of what she had said. I don't usually call out names, but it's very odd that she will say that. And when she was the head, she let a lot of big banks go. Just slap on the wrist, things like that. Didn't investigate a lot of things that I feel a lot of us knew that she should. So it's odd that, well, it's not odd. She's doing her duty to she's just doing her duty. I'll leave it at that. So let me take a look at other comments here. Okay, you guys are doing fine. So I want to go into we saw the rules change and whatnot, and then we heard this thing called meme economy. Sorry about that. Let me get into this. I'll be fairly quick in this. Meme economy. How a huge group of Redditors are creating fake stock, or is creating a fake stock market to figure out the value of memes. And I really want you folks to remember this word now, memes, because we're going to be in a meme economy, whether we know it or not, like it or not. Jokes, dreams, and teen culture. It's uncool to explain a meme. Explanations take effort, and effort is antithetical to an art form that begs to be perceived as effortless. Meme economy is a quirky solution, a subreddit in which people discuss memes as if they're real-world commodities. If a meme is just beginning to bubble up online, you say you're going to buy. If a meme has peaked, you say sell, sell, sell. No real money is involved. The game is just an artifice of which to vocalize your commentary as a knowledgeable insider. It's intentionally tongue-in-cheek talking investment without seeming to be invested. But now a 12-person team of Redditors led by Brandon Wink and Ron Weissman is talking the idea behind meme economy and making a working interactive meme stock market. They're calling the trading tool NASDAQ, a cheeky financial system for an alternate universe adjacent to our own where meme is king. Let me move on to to one more point here. Ultimate guide to the meme market. First thing you need to know before driving into the meme market is some vocabulary and common terms. Early traces rising, some early terms here. That what I'll do is I'll just put the link here, and you folks can go ahead and take a look at it at your leisure. But really, it just goes to say that, you know, the power of social media right now, it can influence markets, whether it's Elon Musk sending out a tweet about Bitcoin, whether it's Chama sending out a tweet about a SPAC. It Markets are deeply, deeply influenced by social media, and then also on mainstream media. Again, whether it's Jerome Powell giving guidance to the markets. I mean, where is price discovery anymore at this point? So this meme economy, what are the pros and cons to this movement? Are people at risk on both sides? Overall, what it shows is just how, again, manipulated markets are, and it looks like the youth are really fed up. As the movement goes on, I'd say a Wall Street bet, or Wall Street bets anyway, is adding to an increasingly alarming fact that in no way, shape, or form can the argument of U.S. markets being more advanced, having more depth than, say, Asian markets, and this is always the excuse why the U.S. dollar, there's nothing to challenge the U.S. dollar. It's because of the maturity of U.S. financial markets, the depth of U.S. financial markets. Well, I'm not so sure if this has much credence any longer, seeing that really what's going on, and the whole world is watching. And they've often said this as a point to why, let's say, the Chinese yuan cannot be a reserve currency, because the markets are just too small and things like that, not as advanced, not as sophisticated. Well, what's happening right now is we are seeing how shallow, how fragile the U.S. markets are, and it's unraveling. It's unraveling under its own manipulation. And again, whether it's Powell with forward guidance, naked short selling on COMEX, paper silver and paper gold controlled by banks, Chamath with SPACs, Elon tweeting, we're going to see markets getting pulled in all directions. Some may say great, others may cry foul. And some may say the system is broken, it's old, and to all of these things, I simply say, give me more silver and give me more gold. So that's pretty much where we are. I mean, this news is constantly changing. When I first put together this live stream, I realized, about 80, maybe even 90% of what I put together had just become dated, had become stale because of the way this thing is moving. So I just want to go ahead and give you folks the floor. See whatever comments I can pull out there and see what we might want to talk about. I was shocked this morning when I opened up Twitter and I had saw other bullion dealers how they had stopped taking orders over the weekend. I didn't expect to see that, and for us, as mentioned, we kept taking orders, and I'm glad that we did. But every company is run differently. So anyway, let's see what some comments are out there. SPG 57s 2861. That's where we are now, still holding that $28 level. Seymour Rivers, silver is better than cash. I'd agree. You do need cash. You do need that dry powder. But at some point, as I always say, cash does have an expiration date on it, and you don't want to be holding it when that expiration date turns into sour milk. So again, absolutely true there. Liberty Warrior, the rush to safety. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think you're seeing two things. You're seeing this movement push even more of the silver bugs to get a little bit more urgency and buy more silver. So we're getting it on two sides: the people who are already in silver, and then the movement who are pushing people into silver. And I always say this: there are guys on the fence. They've made money through other things, other markets, businesses, or whatever it is, and they see and hear things regarding silver and gold. And this is where your comments can help more than anything I say, because they want to see what you say. Why did you get into silver? Why did you get into gold? Why are you looking at it? So, you can definitely be a blessing to some people right now, and let them know why you're doing what you're doing. Fat Vegan is saying 29.13 at Kitco. Polynesian Pip saying 29.04 at SD. So it may just be that time difference, that a minute or two between the price movement, but it could also be, different feeds, different spot feeds, depending on where you're getting it from. Um, that's a good question, Mitch. Alex, if there is a successful silver short squeeze, what can be the results of it? If they are successful, what can be the results? First thing we would see, of course, price movement. And I think you would see what you're seeing right now, where dealers have to halt sometimes and readjust prices, premiums, things like that. And then it start to, of course, affect supply. And not to mention, with, let's say in Australia, I believe Perth, I think they're under a 5-day lockdown now, which then could affect, again, the mining side. And in our Keith Neumeyer video, he talked about what they had to go through as far as, the mining end and how they had to deal with COVID. So now Perth, I believe it's under lockdown for 5 days, a strict lockdown for 5 days. So what if it extends 10 days, 20 days? I mean, that mint, could be offline. Is offline the right word? That mint could be temporarily temporarily closed, I guess you could say. So they may not be able to produce. And so again, just as we saw last year where production or supply was hit, we might see it again. And again, these are all different things that are starting to swirl around together and starting to mix together. So you can't just be linear. You really have to, as I said, keep your eyes wide open and keep your head on a swivel. You really have to see what's going on pretty much everywhere. SPG 2859, so it's a lot of movement there. Third World Trillionaire 2855. Okay, so you guys are seeing a lot of things, but again, if this pulls through, there is a short squeeze. I mean, what do you folks see? What do you see happening, and what are you doing about it, if anything? Because I'm just one opinion, and there's 500 plus more opinions, 600 plus more opinions out there. So let's get them on, and see what else can be done. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, height or high tones drifter, Kent. Let's try and take out $30 this time. I mean, that would be a huge move. We could not get to $30 last year. We got up to 29 and couldn't get to 30. And again, for you folks that did buy silver last year, especially if you were buying it when it was sub 12, especially if you were buying it when the ratio was 120 plus to 1, you're getting close to that point where you could flip that silver if you want to for gold using the silver to gold ratio. And that's what that ratio is about, moving back and forth between the two metals. So keep an eye on that ratio right now, especially if it really starts to get into low 60s, high 50s. I think that might be a time for all of us to start considering either turning some silver into gold or moving from buying silver to moving to buying gold. Because if you looked at it, gold price is not moving too much. So it might, the bargain might be on gold as well as we move forward. Let me see what else is out there. Let's see. I just want to take a look at a few more comments before we head out. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Nguyen, I worry for a coming correction. Corrections always happen. Nothing goes in a straight line, really. Not even Bitcoin. They just don't go in a straight line. If a correction comes, all the more, if all the more I'm going to be buying. I know that much. So corrections, they do happen, and it may be something that you can look forward to take advantage of. As again, SPG 57 is saying, have cash ready to buy once the market falls. So again, this is why you should have some cash and dry powder ready to go. Introverted Californian, if silver is smashed, there will be no physical available. You know, that's a tough call, but I do know that supply is, for now we're okay with supply. We look to be okay, but we're starting to see some leaks as far as supply with in other places, other shops, other companies. So supply is an issue, and of course that's going to affect price. People think spot price is the only thing that affects the price. It's also supply. It's also inventory. So there are other things that affect the price. Let me see what else is out there. Okay, I'll just take a few more comments and then be heading out. There's so much news out there. It's hard to keep up with it, but do your best to stay on it. Let's see. Truth Monster, I need to take a look at that too. Are my eyes broken, or is rhodium approaching 20K? Can silver get into that neighborhood? 20K will be pretty awesome if it did. I mean, if you take a look at what Keith Neumeyer said, if it ever gets to that true ratio of what it's coming out of the ground, I mean, 20K it's not entirely off the table. So again, keep an eye on things. Keep your eyes open and head on the swivel, guys, because it's moving quick. Couple more comments. Donald Malye, Kitco website says no silver for sale. Okay, no silver for sale, and this is the thing. Sometimes also when you wait for prices to go down, it's gobbled up, and so while you're waiting for the bargain, you're not gonna really find one because supply just might not be there. So again, another thing to consider as you try to strategize what's best for you, what's best for your family. Okay, so I guess with that, I'll be wrapping this up. The Reddit story is not over. The Robinhood story is not over. This is just the very, very beginning of what's about to come down the pipe. So again, pay attention to things. Don't only listen to news that you like. You also have to take in news that maybe you don't like, because you need to see all sides of the story and all sides of what's going on. Many bullion dealers are hiding inventory. Maybe true for some, but I know for us, if we have it, we're putting it up. So like I say, everyone operates differently. And again, if you folks did have orders with us over at silverbullion.com.sg, those orders will be honored. So don't worry about it. Okay. So having said that, again, guys, this is more important, probably now more than ever. Things are happening fast. Understand it. Be a blessing, not a burden. A lot of guys have no clue what's going on. But try your best to explain to people and help them to understand what's going on. And above all, saddle up for what's coming ahead. You really need to saddle up for what's coming ahead and silver up as well. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Keep your eye on Robinhood and silver and everything else. You guys take care of each other. And I'll see you then.